We're going to get again into a little bit of a controversial situation. There are two things I wanted to share with you, and one has to do again with race, unfortunately, because if I don't call it out, who does? Check this article. Denisha Maddy is the clown we're going to call out today. So, black teaching assistant brags about grading white students in Chicago based on race. Okay, newsletter. Let's see what this is about. Denisha Maddy is a graduate teaching assistant at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. Yeah, professional. Who seemingly bragged on Twitter about grading papers based on students' race. In response, the school is investigating the situation and has taken action. So, props to the school. I'm going to have to say this. Props to the school. Who on earth does this? Like, what? Is this the reversed 1940s? It's literally the reverse. They're doing the same thing. The reverse 1940s. Was it even a thing in the 1940s? I don't even know. If grading was dependent, even in situations where we know that, for example, in America, 40s, 50s, it was really tough being a black person. I mean, that's a historical fact. But even then, would they grade a student? I guess a lot of black kids couldn't even go to school. So there is that. But let's say that you belong to a family that did send their children to school. Would that happen? Yeah, anyways. In response, the school is investigating. The situation started earlier in April when Maddie tweeted out. So she tweeted, she's an idiot. I think the reason is because they think they can get away with it. Because you would imagine, like, come on, you're not going to, what you're doing is clearly wrong. But they don't think it's wrong then. Regardless, someone might consider it wrong at an institutional level, so you'd be like, they'll do it in secret. No, they say it on Twitter, on X. So they must really think they can get away with it. The controversial statement from a personal account. Open quotes, let's see the statement. Grading papers for my mentors, and I'm giving these white students a run for their grade, honey. Denisha Maddy tweeted while using 2 devil face emojis and 1 laughing/crying emoji. The exam is on race, she said. This is despicable. She should be fired at once, and this should be marked into her resume/CV. Awful. Oh, guys, I'm so tired of this nonsense. The Chicago School of Professional Psychology related a public statement on their official website, which announced that they were aware of the situation. Well, good for the school. Good for Chicago. Are you guys from Chicago? It's cool. That is discrimination. That is racism at its finest. You're absolutely right. The school said that, not to mention it's unjust. So you're giving them a run. So the test is about race, and you are decreasing the marks of students who are white, regardless of what they say. So even if they regurgitate, she's not saying because they were wrong, but even if they regurgitate what you want them to hear, you're still gonna grade them lower because they're white? That's disgusting. I say, as a former professional teacher, that wouldn't fly. How she could think, but then again, I say, how could she think that this would fly? But universities do it all the time. So that's probably why she thought in this current environment, I can actually see why she thought that she could get away with it. She probably thought she was going to be praised for it. Maybe she could have received a raise is what she was expecting, because there are plenty of professors that tell you, and I swear I have a video dedicated to this, Asian American professor, 1000% ultra progressive. So left-wing, not even left-wing, radical, even from the perspective of liberal. And she wrote this book all about like white bad, white this, white that. And she said that she was going around universities making all sorts of classes where she was teaching how all forms of racism are because of white supremacy, including when white people are not even present in the occasion. So she was literally saying, again, I have a dedicated video, and I expose her. She was literally saying, so we saw that in New York during the pandemic, there was some racism against this Asian man, an elderly man that was tackled and pushed by a big black guy who literally cracked his skull. And he's like, yeah, that is a racist thing. And the reason is obvious. It's white supremacy. And I'm like, what? So she was literally blaming white people for black on Asian crimes based on racism. And that's taught at university level, with all the university staff doing, oh, absolutely, white people awful, yes, so brave, so courageous. So clearly in this environment, I'm glad that this school is acting more professional than the majority of universities at this point. in the West at least. Let's go. The school said that Maddie was affiliated with them and noted that Maddie's personal tweet, open quotes, runs counter to our internal policies related to grading as well as our core values, close quotes. Based Chicago school. Wow. The Chicago school does not agree with or condone such sentiments or behavior. When I wish you would have specified what sentiment we are talking about. I understand that you're scared that they're going to burn the place to scorched earth, but it's anti-white sentiment. I could say it. I'm going to say it. It's anti-white sentiment. Next. Several actions have been taken in response, wrote the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. To date, that woman, by the way, the associate teacher requires professional help. I would suggest, rather than a psychologist, a psychiatrist. To date, the post has been removed and we have started our internal processes to address the situation. If you're enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to check out my Patreon page. With as little as a $5 support, you can help us ensure that we can continue to produce high quality and high researched content. And at the same time, you get access to polls, extra videos, unlisted streams, and much more. Thank you so much. The school says the university policy relates to grading is very clear and that our faculty members are responsible for reviewing and submitting final grades for all students' assignments. Based on the internal review, the school believes that this policy was, open quotes, correctly followed in the incident referenced in the tweet. So basically what they're saying, she was like, you deserve a 2 because you're white. And then they looked at it, but like, no, he didn't do anything wrong. It's fine. It's an 8. Probably that's what it means. The Chicago school has a 40-year history of respecting individual differences and advancing the principles of inclusion and equality. Hold on a minute. Inclusion and equality and representation are code for anti-white sentiment. So instead of doing this, well, equity is. Equality, in reality, I am pro-equality. I would treat all students based on their individual skills, ignoring completely any ethnic affiliation. So if you have a student and he does a phenomenal job, I'm not going to consider that after I've reviewed, okay, wait a second, is he black? Is he white? Is he, I don't know. And then it's the student does a completely wrong thing. It's like the dates are wrong. He thinks the Roman Empire happened in the 1800s, but I'm like, right, but he's a minority. And so I'm actually going to give him an 8 because he's a minority. And is he gay as well? 9.5. I know I'm grading with Italian. We grade from 1 to 10 in Italy, but that's the point of reference I have. That is counter to equality. In fact, it's more close to equity and DEI positions. Inclusion is the exclusion of white people. I mean, it's just how it is. If inclusion was only about, you would want everyone to feel welcome here, fine. No one has anything against that. That's like basic human decency. Well, yeah, there are people that have a problem with that. That's not me. Problem is that this, unfortunately, has become code for excluding. So inclusion is exclusion. Said Dr. Michelle Nealon, president of Chicago School of Professional Psychology. No, said the board that wrote it. We have always been committed to addressing every such issue, as it provides an opportunity for sincere dialogue, I wish, and the further advancement of difficult yet crucial social justice topics. We are consistent in inviting and embracing difficult conversations that allow us to advance our missions on topics related to multicultural diversity and inclusion. You absolute clown. First and foremost, okay, look, the school is based. The person who spoke, the spokeswoman, Dr. Michelle Nealon, is a clown. Because point number 1, this isn't a difficult conversation. I know I'm being pedantic. You subscribe to me what you want. You knew from day one. The pedantry is my middle name, so here we are. Anyways, it's not a difficult conversation. Why is she being racist to white people? It's not a difficult conversation. Likewise, if it was a white teacher who was grading black students or was grading Asian students in a different way, and because I'm giving them a run for their marks, yeah, it's not a difficult. I would take the teacher and say, why are you being racist? Be a professional. What the heck are you doing? It's not a difficult conversation. It is a difficult conversation because it's a problem since you now have to defend the oppressor class. as viewed by your worldview. It isn't a difficult conversation. It's it's a conversation we shouldn't even have in the professional field, but due to the fact that, of course, sometimes you do end up hiring people or having associates and full-on, fully-fledged professors as well, before everyone tries to gaslight and say, oh, it's just an assistant. No, it's not. Major professors do stuff like that and worse. So since when it does happen, then you have a problem of professionalism, and it should not be a difficult conversation. It should be a fire her conversation. First and foremost, multicultural diversity. Yeah, tell the racist anti-white teacher about that. Continuing. Based on screenshots from Twitter, Danisha Maddy set her Twitter account private at first, but has since deleted the account entirely. Yeah, of course, because she got the backlash she deserved. 100% deserved. 1000% deserved. Similarly, Maddie's LinkedIn account was also deleted. And we have a picture of Trump for some reasons in the article. Oh, wow. Man, that was insane. The black teacher grades F. Yeah, give him an F. Give him an F. How dare they? The Nisha Maddy, graduate teaching assistant at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology, bragged about penalizing white students with lower grades. Hey, where is my uppercase W? Where is my uppercase W here? Earlier this week, Maddy tweeted grading papers for my mentors, and I'm giving... Yeah, basically it's the same thing repeated, so we don't need to read this again. Yeah, they say this is about culture, and it is. And it's the nonsense that our culture war has led DEI at its finest. You're absolutely right. Like, this is it. This is exactly what it is. It's a non-professional person in a professional environment that is showing off that she did not deserve that position. In fact, she doesn't deserve any position because she's a racist. But this article, wait a second, before we move to the next one, because this is a quick one. This is a very fast one, really. I want to see if they say anything else. Our university policies, yeah, you would say no shit, Sherlock. Our university problem. But look at the video. That's why you don't need to say, you can really leave it at that, doctor, professor, PhD of psychology. You don't need to say, we really believe in equity, inclusion, multiculturalism. Basically, you're virtue signaling. And the reason why they have to virtue signal like this in these spaces is because they are defending an oppressor. So even though I'm glad that the professor, the board of directors actually recognize we got to do something about this, it's wrong. Yeah. But still they have to say all of the words because they have to make sure that when they fire this clown of a teacher on the basis of an anti-white racism, which they don't say because it's not racism, it's not systemic, they say, they also have to make sure that they are like, but guys, we're one of you. We love multiculturalism and inclusivity, and we absolutely believe in representation of minorities and this and that. And so it's not nice to know what she's doing. You didn't need to say all of that. You could have just said, how about we treat everyone equally professionally in a work sphere, professional environment, and educational space. That's it. You don't need to say anything else. You really don't. You can say it, freedom of speech, and I'll say you're a clown if you have to, because it really sounds like it. It kind of, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like, you remember, and my haters are gonna hate this, so I'm gonna say it on purpose. Charlie Kirk. When Charlie Kirk died, we had the absurd, the ones that laughed, haha, we got him in the neck, the kind of, scum of the earth. Okay. But then you had those people that actually did say, and appreciate them, I do appreciate them, that said, he didn't deserve it. It's awful. What the heck are you laughing? It's no laughing matter. But then there was a subsection of these that had to say the preamble to it. So I disagreed with everything Charlie Kirk had to say. I did think that his takes on women and race and DEI and positions and this and that, it was horrid. It was horrible. His takes were terrible. And in fact, it was spreading bigotry. And I really, really disagree with that, guys. But he didn't deserve to die. Look, you're better in my book than the scum that actually thought he did deserve to die. But it just makes me cringe, my friends. I don't know what to tell you. I'm willing to talk to people like that. I'm not willing to talk to the people that laughed, because that was precisely Charlie Kirk. I'm not him. He was willing to talk to everyone. I'm not willing to talk to scum. But I am happy to talk to people that at least say that my bar is so freaking low. I'm willing to have an open conversation, listen to your point of view, to people that at least said they didn't deserve to die. Even if they add the cringe before that. But the reason why they add the cringe is because they're afraid that the cult will reject them. And they will. It's a waste of time, because they will be rejected anyways. They'll be like, oh, so are you saying that you support Nazis? That's what they're going to say. Are you saying that Nazis don't deserve to die? So you wasted your time. You wasted your time because it made me cringe. It made the cultists still hate you. So why bother at this point? Just don't do it. At this point, don't do it. And just say, I mean, if you want, you can. It's all about freedom. And as I say, I'm happy to talk to people. It just makes me cringe. It makes me cringe. When I talked about, not because I look at me, but when I talked about Rob Reiner's death, I thought I did think that his politics were cringe. I didn't mention that, though. I don't need to. Why do I need to say that? The guy was stabbed with his son. It's awful. It's a terrible thing. With his wife in his bed? No, it's a terrible thing. And then in chat, people ask me, yeah, but he said awful things about Trump. He had Trump deranged syndrome. I get it. What does it have to do with being stabbed in your own bed, though? That's the part that do I have to be scared now that people think that I'm a progressive? I think it's quite obvious I'm not. I'm not a progressive. I don't care if someone comes here and tells me you're so woke because you're a liberal woke because you didn't laugh at Rob Reiner. Get the hell out of here. I don't care. I'm just trying to be decent. And I don't think that the full preamble to make sure that my tribe knows, guys, I'm still one of you. I'm still a moderately conservative guy. That's who I am. I'm a right-wing guy, but moderately. And that's me. But do I need to say that before saying it's awful that this guy got stabbed? I don't know. It's just one of those things. But it is the reality that we inhabit these days. People are scared to be labeled names. Label me whatever the heck you want. Call me a Sicilian Muppet. Call me a fascist. Call me whatever you want. I don't care.